And we see their starting packs.
Right. We've got Farseer Specialist. Um, sorry. Very
Yeah,
interesting choices.
yeah, Farseer, Fortified Marksman, Quick for Dillo, all pretty good playable packs, I would say.
I would
Flower
definitely
Fairies.
expect, yeah, sorry, not the
Ooh.
pledges, but the balls, his favorite units.
Yeah, and Flower Fairy had the option of picking his favorite specialist, the Typhoon, but chose the newly changed Saber spec with Tarantula. Now, my impression so far is that this new Saber spec is a little bit underwhelming, but maybe Flower Fairy can show us the way.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there, but again, Fire Fairy, an excellent player. He will definitely try to show us what Saber Specialist is meant to do in the current patch.
Yeah, and he's deploying slightly forward. These tarantulas are not backed up to the tower or anything, and a really one-sided deploy with lots of crawlers behind it, sort of half aggro looking, but also reasonably defensive into the ball hound.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely call this more of a mid-range deployment here.
Yeah.
And we can see Dillo setting up on the opposite side, so we're gonna see a crossfire game with each player targeting the other player's tower,
Yeah,
at
and
least at the very start.
typically I would say that that deploy style favors the ball player because it's very difficult to fortify towers against them. You often have to deploy defenders.
When
And
Dillo also going mid-range.
yeah, and a little bit of clashing in the middle, but Dillo's balls will go to tower, and he has just a single hound to slow down the push on the other tower.
True. And that Hound is doing a good job clearing out the chaff as well. It's nice to have as little chaff in the way as possible during the debuffs so that you can lock onto the important units.
Yeah. And lock on he does. A few assassin balls going for tower, and a few hounds going over to help clear the remaining chaff. Looks favorable for Dillo, should be around 1 win.
Not very surprising. Usually you see the balls come out on top against tarantulas on round 1, but it
Yeah.
gets more complicated after that.
Wow, Flower Fairy picking that Phoenix so fast that it kind of bugged out my interface.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Uh, Phoenix
and
versus Wraith. Kind
yeah,
of
that's
classic choices here.
yeah. Wraith makes a lot of sense for chaff clear for the balls, although he puts it so that it will go join that middle fight where a lot of crawlers were getting dragged. So it's just where it can do the most work with its chaff clearing abilities.
Absolutely. Whereas Fire Fairy is just putting the Phoenixes in between the starting tarantulas, and those will be able to help out with whatever the tarantulas are trying to kill.
Yeah,
And
and they'll
interestingly
be
enough,
quite safe.
fortifies the tower against the steel ball push.
Yeah, it's not super efficient because balls can very easily ramp up their damage, but it still reduces the cooldown timer, and he is deploying a Fang and a Tarantula back there, so if just anything incidental gets on the tower, they won't kill it as quickly, like a few crawlers or uh, the hounds.
Absolutely. And this might also be an indication that Flower Fairy, even from the very beginning of round 2, is thinking of setting up a defensive formation against these steel balls.
Yeah, it's a pretty like classic way to build out these boards right now is to have a push on one side and then just deploy across the board, but your ones against the other player's push are behind your tower just as defensively as possible, rather than focusing all of your units in one area.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the Tarantula does go down quite quickly, and the Phoenixes did not quite go to the Wraith, so it gets to clear all the chaff in the middle. Dillo's tower is unfortified though, so it should go down pretty easily, and if the Wraith dies, the Phoenixes
No
will clean up.
anti-air. Still definitely an alright round for Dillo. Just losing by 2 Phoenixes. And
Yeah.
yeah, no crawlers.
But those Phoenixes get to prevent a few hundred damage to Flower Fairy, so you'll definitely
Absolutely.
take that.
Yeah, we might see the similar situation play out a few times this game if Dillo sticks with Wraith as his primary anti-air, because Wraith can, with its very short range, find it difficult to clean up Phoenixes late in the round.
Yeah. Speaking of the short range, Laser Sight, a really good item for Wraith. So Dillo probably pretty happy to see that. But Flower Fairy just going to take it symmetrically on the Phoenix, so that matchup is unchanged. And we do see the Specialist arrive for Flower Fairy. There are Sabers now. And
yeah,
the techs, they're so cheap.
and the Saber
$100
is
missile interceptor.
deployed on the aggressive side for Flower Fairy. Decides that perhaps against the Steel Balls, the Sabertooth is not the most efficient answer.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And Dillo adding a Wasp in the back, that'll cover flank, and then maybe at the end of the round, it will find itself in the right place to defend the Wraith from the Phoenix. We'll have to see.
It could definitely kill the Phoenix after the Wraith dies to the Phoenix.
Yeah, true. Still no
Perhaps
fortification
that happen shortly.
from Dillo.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
It's really hard to tell how much the fortification is going to do in these types of games.
Yeah. Oh, there's one. Nope. Oh, there's a couple wasps alive. So close rounds.
Ooh.
But the wasps do take it. But I don't think they'll be able to kill all these.
Yeah. I think they might not even get through all the crawlers. I can take a look at the timer.
Yeah,
definitely
7
gonna run
seconds.
out of time.
They do get their level though, which could be valid to take.
It could be. And Super Supply, Fire Fairy doesn't even think.
Yeah.
The round 4 Super Supply, Fire Fairy is going to take that
Yeah, both
99
players
times out of 100.
quite healthy. So pretty fair.
Absolutely.
And we see range on the tarantulas. So this will be a tarantula commit. Makes sense with 4 of them on the board.
And
Dillo
tarantulas are quite good against hounds, and Dillo is leveling up the hounds.
Yeah, that's just what I was about to mention. The hounds, the levels allow them to one-shot any crawlers, even with all the enhancements taken. But no tech on them, so they are a little bit vulnerable.
That's true. Right now they're outranged by the tarantulas. But Dillo's main chaff clear is going to be the Wraith going forward as he buys his second Wraith.
Yeah, looks like it. So Flower Fairy is still mostly spending deploys on the defensive side.
Yeah, just that free Sabertooth from the Sabertooth specialist.
Yeah.
going To the aggressive side.
And the Phoenix from the drop.
That too. I'm not actually sure what the Sabertooth is accomplishing. It's like killing a couple hounds, maybe.
Yeah, hasn't done much yet. Certainly doing significantly less than the tarantulas right next to it.
Oh, but it's the only unit that sees the tower.
Yeah, that's its main role. But the Wraith and the Wasp going to take it down for Dillo.
This one pack of wasps has been extremely valuable for Dillo these past 2 rounds. Probably swung the HP totals by like 1,000.
Yeah, he didn't take the level, but even so, quite powerful. Another laser sight mutually taken. I did not get to see what the other options were.
Me neither. The
And
laser sight is amazing for Wraiths.
Yeah, I'm curious where Flower Fairy puts it. Also, Flower Fairy now taking Scorpions. Just unlocking that manually and buying 2, maybe mass recruiting another. Just to finally deal with these balls. Now that the chaff clear is pretty sorted out.
I've definitely seen Fire Fairy take a lot of Scorpions in the mid game. I think he really likes it as at least a short-term answer to Steel Balls, and unfortunately
Yeah.
for Dillo,
He
his
clicked the
Steel Ball
tech.
tech is going to run straight into these Scorpions.
Although this one Ball Wraith on the flank, maybe a little unanswered. Interestingly, Flower Fairy picks up a Mustang to put the new laser sight on to have an answer for the Wasp, even though it is on the exact opposite corner of the board. It is dealing with the Wasp, and this is a play that was possible because of the change to the unlock costs. At some point in this game, Flower Fairy just took a free Mustang unlock. So this turn, they unlocked the Scorps because that's the unit they want to play, but they're able to buy this Mustang that likely that play wouldn't have been made before the unlock change because you just wouldn't have had it unlocked.
Absolutely. Yeah, Dillo, very interesting flank here. And maybe he didn't want to attract one of those level 3 Phoenixes,
Yeah.
though. That Phoenix might be able to just very quickly kill the Wraith.
The Wraith did get to clear all of that chaff, though, even on the spawn-in turn, and it looks like the Scorps did not quite live up to their task and died. And the Wraith actually got to kill most of the Mustangs, so the Wasps are still going to be a problem. There's like 3 Mustangs alive.
And crucially, those Mustangs really want levels, and so
Yeah.
if they're not accomplishing much in early rounds, they might stay level 1 for a long time.
They did get most of the bar of experience, I guess, just killing the ball, and then maybe they contributed to like a level 2 hound or something.
Very interesting unit drop, all giants.
It's so funny that it's all giants, but the cheapest one is the Melter.
It's true. And the Melter is actually perfect for Flower Fairy here.
Yeah.
It, first of all, is good against all the other giants that could have dropped, but the Fract Melter is also an excellent answer to Ball Wraith eventually.
Yeah. And Flower Fairy does commit range onto the Scorpions, so those will be staying on the board, and range will just help them get their first shot off a little earlier, I guess.
This probably also means we're not going to see Diffract Melter. Probably just there as a Wraith answer on that side of the board. And Fort, since there's a Fort there too now.
Yeah, perfect lineup for Flower Fairy directly across from the Fort. I think this turn it won't lock, but Dillo will have to deploy something in front of that Fort in order to avoid the insta-lock once range is taken.
Yes.
All right, another flank to distract.
Dillo going heavy on the flanks. Flower Fairy has kind of abandoned the pushing plan for now.
Yeah. Pretty happy to be on defense. That is his preferred position. The ball's still doing a great job, though. Alive and well, utilizing the energy absorption. And because Dillo got 2 laser sights, he's comfortable clicking floating artillery array, getting the 8 guns on the Wraith before range.
That's a good point. Very powerful tech. There's nothing like it in the game in terms of the amount of damage and utility it provides all at once.
Yeah. Yeah, it's double damage and double chaff clear. An excellent tech. Kind of similar to Launcher Overload on other units, but it has no downside. Super heavy armor gets picked up by Flower Fairy. And that Phoenix, though, has just been really dominating this game. Only on the rounds where some pesky chaff got in its way was it not sort of the last unit standing. So now we see range. Flower Fairy puts super heavy on the melting point, whereas Dillo puts it on the steel ball. So that steel ball, 42,000 HP, just barely two-shottable by the Scorpions, which like almost seems crazy to me. But that's the
Well,
reality.
only if the Scorpions take double shot. Without double shot, it takes
Oh yeah,
five
yeah. I
five
was looking at
shots
the
to
wrong
kill
number.
him.
Yeah, yeah. I was
That's pretty
somehow I
crazy.
was somehow I was looking at the wrong number. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So not quite 4-shot.
Oh, maybe it is four
Oh,
shots. Yeah,
maybe it
it's
is
four
4-shot.
shots.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Until Dillo clicks health on the tower. But yeah, those balls are going to probably get in and deal with this super heavy melting point very quickly.
Yeah. And we have a Fang now in front of the fortress, keeping it safe from any melter range, which has not been clicked yet.
True. I feel like Dillo doesn't necessarily want to commit to the fortresses with
Yeah.
a melting point already on the board.
And
I know the
Dillo
balls are doing so well.
adds a Wasp to that back left flank. Even with the Mustang there, it's actually performing pretty well. The Wraith, with the range click, actually just killing the Mustangs.
But you know what's still alive? That one pack of Phoenixes.
Yeah, that one Phoenix. There is a Wasp alive. Maybe it can protect. And Dillo, of course, has now fortified the tower. I didn't see what turn he did that on. But the range, Wraith click looking good, and the fortress just barely surviving. Number 2 damage for him.
And those balls also just barely got the suck off on the melter to survive the Scorpion onslaught.
So we get some level 2 sledges for Flower Fairy, going to be some nice chaff to put in the way of the Wraith and Steel Ball. It's a pretty efficient unit at tanking that combo. While Dillo gets the Rhinos and is now going to aggress on the other side of the board.
Yeah, this is a huge flank commitment up
Yeah.
here with the Wraith, the Wasp, the Steel Ball, the Crawlers, and the Rhinos with armor.
Yeah.
Which are going to take the aggro from the Phoenixes now as well. Oh, well.
There's a
Actually,
crawler
no,
to
he's gonna buck
capture the
tarantulas.
Phoenix. Yeah, there's a crawler to take the Phoenix and Sabretooth aggro, and then the Rhinos will take the 2 Tarantula aggros. So just positionally sort of picking apart the lineup that Flower Fairy has. So this could be a devastating turn if all of Flower Fairy's units are not working.
Yeah, it looks very high tempo. All the Flower Fairy's units on the left side are going to be locked onto the wrong things.
Yeah. Multi-melters are going to have to do something incredible here. But the laser sight range Wraiths barely shorter range than them. And the big ball is going to be able to get through any amount of health.
And Dillo with a lot of missiles as well.
Yeah, one Phoenix managed to get onto a Rhino. The other one's still shooting crawlers. Ball's getting in on the core of Flower Fairy's left side army. Ball's getting into tower.
Ooh, the tower is huge.
And the Wraith gets to take out the Demon Phoenix. And actually his flank winning over there as well. And the melters go down, not successfully melting most of these Wraiths. And that is a lot of damage. So much damage. It is enough.
Game.
Dillo taking down Flower Fairy. Is this the first time Flower Fairy has lost a game in groups, by the way? I feel like he's always just coasted through the group on the 2 wins.
Well,
But finally, Flower Fairy has been cracked. GG to Dillo. So
amazing game. Just a huge tempo play with the Rhinos. Cuts out Flower Fairy on round 8.
He's not a paid actor today. That was a very nice ball Wraith push, utilizing every single drop. The Wraith was a drop, the Fortress was a drop, the Rhino was a drop, never taking the sell button. Spending his super supply well, clicking all the tempo buttons on the final turn. Just clean. And those flanks did a pretty good job of punishing some of the chaff positioning. Just even on turns where they aren't winning, they're pretty efficient still. Like they trade out well.
And
And
I
the
think
bold Rhino
Flower
flank.
Fairy, like, never really expected that side to be a weakness. He was winning that side every round. And
Yeah,
then all of a sudden, with those 2 rhinos, the Wraith, like with 3 rhinos, the Wraith, the extra ball, the missiles, that
yeah.
side falls first.
He just utilized the extra deploys afforded by the wide drop in order to completely pick apart this positioning. Like Flower Fairy never had a reason to fix the slight offset between the single target and chaff clear on that side, and then final round just completely destroys that positioning and says all of your units are shooting the wrong thing, and I do 2,000 damage.